We learn today of the death of a mathematics genius who mailed terror across the country for nearly 20 years, Ted Kaczynski.
The allure of true crime has captivated the collective imagination for generations. From whispered tales of neighborhood mysteries to the gripping headlines that span the globe, the tales often blur the lines between the expected and the utterly unthinkable. In our interconnected age, where fleeting swipes on dating apps can lead to international intrigues, the cases have evolved, yet our fascination remains unwavering. In this journey, we delve into 10 crime cases that not only shocked the United States, but also reshaped our understanding of human nature, technology, and justice. Number 1. The Lindbergh baby kidnapping. In the annals of American crime history, few cases have resonated as deeply or elicited as much horror as the Lindbergh baby kidnapping. The crime's sheer audacity, compounded by the involvement of a national hero, ensured that it held the nation in its grip and remains a haunting chapter to this day. In 1932, Charles Lindbergh was more than just an aviator. He was an American icon. Having accomplished the first non-stop solo flight across the Atlantic Ocean in 1927, Lindbergh was a beacon of hope and inspiration during a time when the United States was entrenched in the Great Depression. However, his soaring popularity would soon be overshadowed by a profound tragedy. On the evening of March 1, 1932, the Lindbergh family's peace was shattered. At their home in Hopewell, New Jersey, the nursemaid discovered that the 20-month-old Charles Lindbergh Jr. was not in his crib. A frantic search of the premises yielded a grim clue: a crudely constructed ladder outside the child's bedroom window. Further intensifying the mystery was a ransom note found on the windowsill, demanding $50,000 for the baby's safe return. The subsequent investigation was fraught with challenges. As news of the abduction spread like wildfire, the Lindbergh home was inundated with reporters, onlookers, and police officers, inadvertently contaminating potential evidence. Additionally, the Lindberghs received a barrage of ransom notes, each increasing the demanded sum and muddling the waters for investigators. In a desperate bid to retrieve his son, Lindbergh worked in tandem with the authorities, engaging intermediaries to negotiate with the kidnappers and even paying the demanded ransom. Yet the exchange, fraught with miscommunication and suspicion, did not yield the hoped-for reunion. Tragically, on May 12th, nearly 10 weeks after the initial abduction, the decomposed body of little Charles Jr. was found by a truck driver only a few miles from the Lindbergh home. The cause of death was determined to be a blow to the head, leading many to believe that the child may have been accidentally killed during the abduction, given the amateur construction of the ladder. The nation mourned the loss deeply, and the pressure mounted on authorities to bring the perpetrators to justice. After more than 2 years of investigations and following the discovery of marked ransom bills, the trail led to a German immigrant named Bruno Richard Hauptmann. Found in possession of part of the ransom money, Hauptmann was arrested and charged with the crime. The subsequent trial was a spectacle, labeled by many as the trial of the century. Despite Hauptmann's claims of innocence and numerous appeals citing lack of direct evidence, he was convicted of first-degree murder and kidnapping. On April 3, 1936, Hauptmann was executed in the electric chair. The Lindbergh baby kidnapping was more than just a crime. It marked an end of innocence for America. It triggered significant changes, including the Lindbergh Law, which made kidnapping a federal offense if the victim was taken across state lines or if the mail system was used for ransom. But beyond the legal ramifications, the case remains a harrowing reminder of vulnerability, a dark shadow cast over a time when heroes soared and the nation sought symbols of hope. Number 2, the Black Dahlia murder. The Gilded Age of Hollywood, with its radiant movie stars and tales of glamour, has its dark underbelly. Among the most chilling tales from this era is the story of Elizabeth Short, more infamously known as the Black Dahlia. Her brutal and mysterious murder in 1947 remains one of the most perplexing unsolved cases in American crime history, continuing to captivate and intrigue enthusiasts and investigators alike. Elizabeth Short moved to Los Angeles with dreams shared by many young women of her time, to be noticed by the movie industry and to become a star. She was a striking woman with raven black hair, known for her penchant for wearing all black clothing, but her aspirations would remain unfulfilled. On the morning of January 15, 1947, a mother walking with her young child in the Leimert Park neighborhood of Los Angeles made a gruesome discovery. Lying on the ground, bisected at the waist, and drained entirely of blood, was the body of Elizabeth Short. What made the Black Dahlia murder uniquely horrifying was the sheer brutality and the theatricality of the crime. Elizabeth's face had been slashed from the corners of her mouth to her ears, giving her a grotesque extended smile. Her body had been cleaned and meticulously posed, hands over her head, legs spread apart, adding a layer of macabre drama to an already shocking scene. The police and media were instantly gripped by the case. Newspapers of the era, always in pursuit of the most sensational headlines to boost sales, were quick to give Short the moniker Black Dahlia, playing off her dark hair, her wardrobe, and perhaps the noirish atmosphere of post-war Los Angeles. The Los Angeles Examiner, in a particularly invasive move, even contacted Short's mother to inform her of her daughter's death, a tactic to secure an exclusive interview before any other media outlet could. The investigation into Short's death was exhaustive. The police interviewed over 150 men, believing one of them to be the killer. Theories abounded. Some believed the murder was tied to local organized crime, others that it was a rejected lover, and some even posited that the killer had medical or surgical training due to the precision of the cuts on Short's body. Yet each lead seemed to grow cold, and the case more inscrutable. The unsolved nature of the Black Dahlia murder gave rise to numerous myths and legends. Over the years, many came forward, confessing to the crime, but none could provide details that weren't already publicly known. The case inspired numerous books, films, and television series, each trying to interpret or solve the enigma of Elizabeth Short's death. Number 3. The Zodiac Killer. The late 1960s and early 1970s in Northern California were marked not just by the counterculture movement and social revolutions, but also by a chilling string of unsolved murders that sowed fear across the region. The person responsible for these heinous acts wasn't just content with committing the crimes. He seemed to relish the resulting panic, leaving behind a trail of taunting letters and cryptic ciphers. Known as the Zodiac Killer, this unidentified serial murderer is arguably one of the most enigmatic and elusive figures in American criminal history. The first confirmed incident attributed to the Zodiac took place in December 1968. Two high school students, David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen, were found shot dead in Vallejo, California. 6 months later, another shooting occurred a short distance away, claiming the lives of Darlene Ferrin and leaving Michael Magot severely injured. It was after this second attack that the police received a phone call, with the caller coldly taking responsibility for both shootings. By the end of July 1969, a series of letters reached 3 Bay Area newspapers. The author claimed responsibility for the 2 attacks and provided details to prove his authenticity. Included in these letters were cryptograms, with the killer claiming they held clues to his identity. This was just the beginning of a macabre game he played with the media and the police. In subsequent months, the self-proclaimed Zodiac continued his spree and his correspondence. Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were stabbed near Lake Berryessa in Napa County, with the killer even drawing his signature symbol, a circle with a cross through it, on Hartnell's car door. 2 weeks later, cab driver Paul Stein was shot in San Francisco. This time, the killer sent a piece of Stein's blood-stained shirt to the San Francisco Chronicle, further proving his involvement. The letters from the Zodiac were not just confessions, they were challenges. One of his ciphers, which he claimed would reveal his identity, was decoded by a school teacher and his wife, revealing a rambling message in which the Zodiac claimed that killing was more fun than hunting because man was the most dangerous animal. But his name remained elusive. While these confirmed cases were terrifying enough, the Zodiac claimed in his letters to have killed as many as 37 people. However, only a handful of these claims have been verified. Despite a massive manhunt and investigation, the Zodiac killer's identity remained a mystery. Over the years, several suspects emerged, but conclusive evidence tying anyone to all the crimes has been elusive. Some believed he was a disgruntled former journalist, given his penchant for sending letters, while others theorized he might have had a military or police background due to his familiarity with weapons and code. Number 4. The O.J. Simpson Trial. The 1990s saw the confluence of celebrity, media, race, and the judicial system in a manner never witnessed before, with the O.J. Simpson trial standing out as the decade's most riveting legal drama. Often dubbed the trial of the century, this case transformed court proceedings into daily national spectacles as the intricacies of the American justice system were dissected and debated in living rooms across the country. O.J. Simpson, by the mid-90s, was more than just a retired football star. He had transitioned successfully to Hollywood, starring in movies and commercials, becoming a beloved and recognizable figure. But in June 1994, this persona was irrevocably shattered. Nicole Brown Simpson, O.J.'s ex-wife, and Ronald Goldman, a young waiter, were found brutally stabbed to death outside Nicole's home in Brentwood, Los Angeles. The gruesome nature of the crime and the involvement of a celebrity of Simpson's stature immediately captured nationwide attention. The evidence seemed compelling. A bloody glove, matching one found at the crime scene, was discovered on Simpson's property. His Ford Bronco was seen near the crime scene, and it bore traces of blood. However, it was the televised low-speed chase of that same Bronco, with O.J. inside, seemingly evading arrest, that truly thrust the case into the media limelight. Yet when the trial began in January 1995, what seemed straightforward became convoluted. The defense team, led by Johnny Cochran, skillfully shifted the focus from the crime itself to the Los Angeles Police Department, suggesting they had planted evidence and highlighting instances of institutional racism. Key evidence was called into question, like the bloody glove, which appeared not to fit Simpson during a court demonstration. Cochran's famous line, "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit," encapsulated the defense's narrative. The prosecution, led by Marcia Clark and Christopher Darden, argued fervently, presenting DNA evidence and pointing to Simpson's history of domestic violence towards Nicole. Yet the case, at its core, became more than just about the murders. It tapped into the nation's raw nerves about race, celebrity, and justice. Simpson's defense played upon the lingering mistrust many African Americans felt towards the LAPD, particularly after the Rodney King incident. The O.J. Simpson trial remains emblematic of a time when the lines between entertainment and jurisprudence blurred. While the question of Simpson's guilt or innocence still stirs debates, the trial's impact on the American psyche and its reflections on race, fame, and justice are undeniably profound. Number 5. The death of Warriena Wright, a Tinder tragedy. In the modern age, where technology has intertwined deeply with our personal lives, the pursuit of love and connection has transformed. Online dating platforms like Tinder promised new avenues of connection, but also brought forth unforeseen perils. The tragic case of Warriena Wright stands as a grim testament to these dangers, a story where a seemingly innocent swipe led to a night of horror. Warriena Wright, a young woman from New Zealand, was on a vacation in Australia in 2014. On the fateful night of August 7th, she matched with Gable Tosti on Tinder. The two decided to meet, their connection moving from the digital space to the physical world. As the night progressed, they found themselves in Tosti's apartment, high up on the 14th floor of a high-rise in Surfer's Paradise, a suburb on Australia's Gold Coast. As with many cases, the exact details of what transpired between the two within those walls are murky, but a chilling piece of evidence provides a haunting glimpse into the night's events. Tosti, perhaps in a premonition of a troublesome night or out of sheer habit, had recorded audio on his phone. This 3-hour recording would later become central to the investigation. The tape captured a night that began with laughter and flirtation, but soon descended into drunkenness, arguments, and physical altercations. Wright can be heard yelling and pleading with phrases like, "Let me go home," piercing through. In response, Tosti can be heard saying, "You're lucky I haven't chucked you off my balcony." Tragically, the night culminated with Wright's death as she fell from the balcony. After a harrowing trial, the jury delivered its verdict in 2016. Gable Tosti was acquitted of both murder and manslaughter. The decision was polarizing. Some saw it as a reflection of justice, others as a grievous oversight. Number 6. The Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. In the annals of American criminal history, few figures are as enigmatic and chilling as the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. Over the span of 17 years, from 1978 to 1995, Kaczynski orchestrated a reign of terror through a series of bombings, resulting in the deaths of 3 people and injuring 23 others. But it wasn't just the violence that captured the nation's attention. It was also the complex motivations and intellectual depth of the man behind them. Born in 1942 in Chicago, Kaczynski was a prodigious talent from an early age. Excelling academically, he entered Harvard at just 16 and later earned a PhD in mathematics from the University of Michigan. His promising academic career, however, took a dark turn when he abruptly abandoned it, choosing instead to live in a remote cabin in Montana. It was from this isolated setting that Kaczynski plotted his bombing campaign, driven by a deep-seated animosity toward modern technological society. Kaczynski's initial bombings were relatively minor, causing injuries but no fatalities. Yet the randomness of the targets, ranging from university professors to airline executives, baffled authorities. His handcrafted bombs became more sophisticated over time, and the consequences increasingly lethal. When they apprehended Kaczynski in 1996, they found a trove of evidence, including a live bomb ready for shipment and a meticulous journal detailing his crimes. During the trial, Kaczynski's defense team attempted to portray him as mentally ill, suggesting that paranoid schizophrenia drove his actions. Kaczynski, however, resisted this characterization, eager to be seen as a rational actor driven by ideological principles. Ultimately, to avoid the death penalty, he pleaded guilty to all charges in 1998 and was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Ted Kaczynski's crimes were not mere acts of senseless violence. They were, in his mind, a rebellion against an oppressive technological system. Whether one sees him as a deranged murderer or a tragic figure responding, albeit violently, to genuine societal ills, Kaczynski's legacy as the Unabomber remains a chilling reminder of the extremes to which ideology and isolation can drive a person. Number 7. The Oklahoma City bombing. April 19, 1995, dawned as a routine morning in Oklahoma City. But by its close, it would be seared into the collective memory of the American populace as one of the nation's most tragic days. At precisely 9:02 a.m., a thunderous explosion shattered the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, reducing a large portion of it to rubble and claiming the lives of 168 innocent people, including 19 children. This devastating act wasn't the result of international terrorism, but was masterminded and executed by 2 of America's own, Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols. The motivations behind the bombing can be traced back to deep-seated anti-government sentiments. McVeigh, a decorated Army veteran, was disillusioned with the U.S. government, particularly due to its handling of the Waco siege in Texas exactly 2 years before the Oklahoma City attack. He believed the federal government had overstepped its bounds, trampling the rights and lives of its citizens. To McVeigh, a drastic statement was needed, and unfortunately, this came in the form of a violent, deadly act. On June 11, 2001, McVeigh's death sentence was carried out, but the scars left by the bombing remain. The Oklahoma City National Memorial now stands on the grounds where the Murrah Building once stood, a solemn reminder of the lives lost and the need for unity and understanding in the face of extremism. The Oklahoma City bombing serves as a chilling testament to the devastating consequences of radicalized beliefs. It's a somber lesson about the importance of maintaining a dialogue, understanding grievances, and continually working towards a society where violent acts are neither the method nor the answer. Number 8. The Casey Anthony Trial. The year 2011 witnessed a courtroom drama that transfixed the United States and much of the world. The trial of Casey Anthony, a young mother accused of murdering her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee, became a media spectacle, scrutinized in minute detail by television networks, newspapers, and the burgeoning force of social media. The elements of the case, the tragic death of a young child, questionable parental behavior, and a slew of conflicting evidences, created a maelstrom of public emotion and debate. The timeline of events leading up to the trial is haunting. In July 2008, Kaylee Anthony was reported missing by her grandmother, who claimed she hadn't seen the toddler for 31 days. More disturbingly, the child's mother, Casey, appeared to have been partying and living normally during her daughter's supposed disappearance. When questioned, Casey gave inconsistent statements. She claimed that Kaylee was with a babysitter, but this was swiftly disproven. Suspicion began to mount against Casey, particularly when traces of chloroform were found in her car, along with the unmistakable scent of human decomposition. By December 2008, the tragic fate of Kaylee was confirmed when her skeletal remains were discovered in a wooded area near the Anthony home, with duct tape near the skull, suggesting a possible cause of death. The discovery shook the nation, and as evidence continued to surface, Casey Anthony found herself at the epicenter of a storm of public outrage. The Casey Anthony trial serves as a potent reminder of the complexities of the legal system, the impact of media on public perception, and the myriad ways in which personal histories, family dynamics, and societal pressures intersect in high-stakes court cases. The true events of what transpired in June 2008 may never be fully known, but the case's legacy as a watershed moment in American legal and media history is undeniable. Number 9. The murder of Laci Peterson. In the annals of notorious American crimes, few cases have gripped the public's imagination as deeply as the 2002 disappearance and murder of Laci Peterson, a vibrant, expectant mother from Modesto, California. The subsequent investigation, arrest, and trial placed Laci's husband, Scott Peterson, squarely in the national spotlight, resulting in a narrative fraught with grief, betrayal, and contentious legal battles. Christmas Eve 2002 saw the beginning of a mystery that would consume media headlines for months. Laci Peterson, 8 months pregnant with a son the couple had already named Connor, went missing. Scott Peterson, Laci's husband, claimed that he had left their home that morning for a solo fishing trip in Berkeley, and upon his return, found his wife missing. The search for Laci commenced immediately with her face plastered on numerous flyers, TV screens, and newspapers. The community rallied, holding candlelight vigils and assisting in search efforts. However, as days turned into weeks without any sign of Laci, suspicion began to swirl around Scott. Several factors made him a person of interest. He had sold Laci's car shortly after her disappearance, made modifications to his appearance, and, most damningly, was discovered to have had an extramarital affair with a woman named Amber Frey. Frey, unaware that Scott was married, cooperated with the police, revealing that Scott had told her his wife was dead 2 weeks before Laci went missing. Nevertheless, in November 2004, after a 5-month trial, Scott Peterson was found guilty of first-degree murder for Laci's death and second-degree murder for the death of their unborn son. He was subsequently sentenced to death. The case of Laci Peterson remains a chilling exploration of the dualities present within human nature. It serves as a reminder that sometimes the most harrowing evils can lurk behind the veneer of everyday life, hidden in plain sight. Number 10. The Boston Marathon bombing. On April 15, 2013, a day celebrated in Massachusetts as Patriots' Day, the city of Boston witnessed a tragedy that shook the nation to its core. The Boston Marathon, an iconic annual event drawing participants and spectators from all over the world, became the target of a devastating terrorist attack. 2 pressure cooker bombs concealed in backpacks detonated near the finish line on Boylston Street, killing 3 people and injuring more than 260. The attack turned a festive and celebratory day into one of chaos, panic, and profound sorrow. As a city renowned for its spirit and resilience, Boston was left grappling with the immediate aftermath and seeking answers to the identity and motive behind the attackers. Dzhokhar, though injured, managed to escape, prompting a day-long lockdown in Boston as authorities scoured the city. Finally, he was discovered, wounded, and hiding in a boat in a Watertown backyard. His capture marked the end of an intense, terror-filled week for Boston and its residents. During his trial, it emerged that the brothers were self-radicalized, motivated by extremist Islamic beliefs and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. In 2015, Dzhokhar Tsarnaev was found guilty on all 30 charges brought against him, including the use of a weapon of mass destruction. He received the death penalty, though this sentence was later vacated on appeal. The Boston Marathon bombing remains a poignant reminder of the threats posed by radical ideologies and the resilience of communities in the face of terror. Boston's response, encapsulated in the mantra "Boston Strong," exemplified the city's determination to heal, rebuild, and defy the fear sown by such acts of violence.